Hey everyone, Keith Carson here. I just want to update you on a couple of the strong storms, severe storms actually we have going on right now. The one that really has us coming on right now is this storm on its way to Augusta. And the lightning in this thing has been prolific by Northeast standards. We've had about 40 to 45 strikes here just in the last 5 or 10 minutes. As it moved through Livermore, it was just really putting down a bunch of lightning. We've had intermittent lightning data problems, so you can see it kind of dwindling at the end, but I'll tell you what, that thing's still putting down a ton of lightning. And it's going to be just on the north side of Augusta, through Winthrop, through Manchester, and obviously it is right now moving through Wayne. Now keep in mind, technically speaking, a ton of lightning is not a criteria for a severe thunderstorm. It's hail or straight line winds. But there is obviously an inherent danger to this amount of lightning hitting the ground. And so that's something I wanted you to be aware of as it moves into a heavily populated area here, up 95 through Augusta and just to the north of Hallowell. So this storm into Sydney as well is going to be probably still severe as it moves through this box. It has small hail associated with it, but again, just by looking at it, my bigger concern would be the amount of lightning. You get storms like this down in Louisiana or southern Mississippi sometimes where they put down a ton of lightning. You don't see them quite as much here in the Northeast where they produce this much cloud to ground lightning that's being detected. So that's a dangerous thing moving eastward here. We've got a couple of more storms that have gusted themselves out. Look how quickly these have died on their way to York and to the beaches, Kennebunk as well. A marine influence has just crushed some of these strong to severe storms, which has been a good thing. A few more storms over northern Maine as well. Those are non-severe at the moment. But, you know, worth watching a couple of these, even though they're coming through Aroostook County, Fort Kent, for example. Every once in a while, we'll get surprised by a storm over Aroostook County that will develop a little bit of a tail and spin a weak tornado up. So that's worth watching. It actually happened couple of weeks ago, not in Aroostook County, but in down East Maine. And here comes another storm. Now this is non-severe and honestly doesn't even look that great coming through Brownfield and Freiburg. However, it is notorious that it gets into Sebago Lake area and starts to develop some stronger characteristics and sometimes a little low and mid-level spin. So we'll keep an eye on that coming through Porter. Again, along Route 25 there, north of Cornish and Baldwin as well. So by far it's the storm that's moving towards Augusta that is the one that I'm most concerned about with all the lightning. Let's just take a scan of this and see if there's any kind of rotation. We haven't seen much of it today, which is good. We had one storm that got a little flirty with rotation for a bit, but it died out pretty quickly. So that's what you want. You don't want these to be rotating for long periods of time. All right, let's look here. This is the velocity data. So again, what we're looking for in this, and it looks like a lot of mess, right? But what we look for is a couplet in which we've got red and green, pretty clean and next to each other. And right now we don't really have that. There's a little bit towards Wayne, but I think that's actually an inflow boundary coming up into the storm and rising. So what you're seeing is you're seeing the winds inbound and then outbound exhaust right near the middle of it towards Wayne. But we'll keep an eye on it because it's got, you know, the look like it could do a little rotating as it moves eastward along 202 here. The other storms, I'd be shocked. They've totally gusted out. See the difference here? See how all these are in the same color family? And then we look at this and there's a little bit of couplet action with the red and the green smacked together here. And conversely, we get to the north, and again, these are all straight line type storms that do not have any couplets to them. So again, it's the thunderstorm activity, it's the lightning that we're concerned with this cell here as it sinks right into Augusta. So this is the type of storm that is really fun to watch if you can do it safely. And what I mean by that is in your car, in a spot that you know has good west or northwest visibility. And remember, you're safe in a car not because of the tires, but actually because of the metal exterior frame around you. So don't be touching that and you'll be good. I did those a lot as a kid, go out there and make my dad drive me through storms. Liam, do we have any questions about these storms?
So is any thunder or lightning headed to the Machias area, so down east?
Right now, it's looking pretty quiet over down east. I mean, these storms in theory could get there tonight, but you're talking about 3 hours away. So most likely when the sun sets, they'll get squashed, and we'll just see just some rain showers. So I think Bangor is kind of your dividing line vertically as far as the stronger storms. When you get east of that, I just don't think they'll have the steam to stay together. And there we go. They just double blocks that storm as I anticipated. Now extending that severe thunderstorm warning into Augusta. It's technically for Gardner as well, but I don't think it's going to get in there. Gardner and West Gardner, those are the spots, and I'm sorry if I'm nerding out on you here. If you live there and you've got a moment, if you can get a sight line north, this storm is going to be pretty sexy to look at vertically. It's obviously got a lot of height to it to produce this kind of lightning. It just has to. In fact, let me just see here what the heights are on the echo tops. There's a product that tells you this. All right, so let's just pause it right there. And so according to this scale, it's about 50,000 feet vertically. That might be overdone a little bit, but it's definitely over 35,000 feet vertical, this storm, which they're just so much fun to watch. Let's see if we can see it on the visible satellite as well. Yeah, it's kind of mucky. It's kind of mucky out there. Just trying to see if I can see the echo top on this satellite, and it's just, there's a couple of clouds on the other side of it. That's lame. But anyways, so these are the spots that if you get a chance, you check it out and you get a really cool view. Even Turner, if you look northeast, you'll see it as well. But in Augusta, don't be outside in the next 20, 25 minutes. This amount of lightning, you never have a high chance of getting struck by lightning, but it's higher when you have this much lightning hitting the ground. Liam, any other questions?
Yeah, it was like, what time is going to hit Augusta?
Oh, I mean, yeah, now. I mean, Augusta's you've got 5 or 10 minutes before it gets really, really nasty there. It does look like the core of the lightning is just northward. So the worst of the lightning should be on the north side of Augusta and through Manchester. And eventually Sydney is going to get it pretty good as well. And that definitely has some hail. Definitely has some hail with it. So if you're in that area, let me know what kind of hail you're seeing, what kind of wind you're seeing, and the lightning as well. Okay, so this storm here that we're looking at, they have now tagged it as tornado possible in the wording. So tornado possible does not mean it's a tornado warning. It just means that there's enough rotation here, and it's right here. Just enough rotation that they're concerned it could spin something up. And so, again, this is where you guys could really help me out through Winthrop. If you look up and see, is the cloud rotating? The radar thinks that it is rotating at least a little bit, but there's degrees of that. So is it mid-level rotation? It is upper-level rotation. Let me just compare this to where that spin is on the actual cell, because typically if you're going to get a tornado, it wants to tuck itself on the south side of the cell, and the cell will be up this way. So let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's in the right place. That's in the right place. See that fold right there? That fold is not overly concerned about it, but I don't love it. That fold has a little look like it could be rotating a bit. So again, now Augusta take this warning even more seriously than you would have previously, in the fact that it's trying to fold itself a little bit on the back end. So again, what happens here is a tornado will want to sit here-ish in the structure of an overall storm. So the classic, what they call a hook echo, is the tornado here and the storm hooks this way. And that would be kind of your classic presentation of a tornado situation, which it's not classic, but it's not terrible. Let's go back to the velocity data and just check that couplet again. It's mucky. It's mucky. Again, it's right here. Let me pause it. Right here. And Liam, just keep an eye on the comments. If anybody's in Winthrop and they can look up safely, right here. And to be specific, along 41 and 133 is basically where this radar is detecting it. Has anybody mentioned it?
Nothing yet.
Okay. And I'm not advising you to go out and be my storm chaser here. If this is in fact a spin up, then we don't want you outside. But that's a pretty good little one. All right, we'll revisit that in a second. Definitely has a possibility. Yeah, I don't like that. Hold on a second. Apologies for the stream of consciousness here, but this is kind of when you're looking at storms on the fly. This is what happens. Okay, again, I mean, it's not classic. If you zoomed out from afar, I wouldn't think much of it. I'm sure these are the other weather weenies texting me. Hold on. Yeah, it's Todd and Ryan and everybody else talking about the same storm. Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. All we can really do is say there's a tornado possible within that storm, right towards Winthrop, right there. That couplet still looks pretty good. Liam, do you know, Liam, if we have do we have any web cameras out that way? If we could look west, could probably get a good look at it, like Augusta looking westward. Because again, right here, that's it. That's what you're looking at, and it's not a textbook couplet, but it is a couplet right here. That is definitely some low-level rotation within that storm, and again, the possibility that it could be putting down a small tornado or at least a funnel cloud as it moves eastward there. So just be aware of that. I'm kind of surprised the National Weather Service at this point, as we're discussing in our group text here, has not pulled the thread of the trigger on a tornado warning. I think it might be better off as a tornado warning as opposed to severe thunderstorm, just because of the way this looks now. All right, we're trying to track down to see if we can find anything. Yes. It's borderline. It's borderline. There could be a little. There could be a little rotation in it.
I feel like we should break in for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's call downstairs.
Okay.
I'll call downstairs.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry, Facebook. We are discussing whether or not to go on television with this. If you've never heard of television, it's this box in your house that you can also get this information. We may do like a dual stream here in a second. Again, I'm not convinced there's a tornado in this, but there is some rotation in there, and it's not exactly in the middle of a field here as it moves towards Augusta, and that couplet's still there with indicating rotation outbound and inbound right there. Let's have a look at the radar.
Do you have your IFB in?
I do not have an IFB in.
He's going to get an IFB, so just talk to him.
Yeah, they should.
We're on social right now.
They should pull the trigger on the tornado warning here, I would say, the National Weather Service. But that's their job, and this is our job. So I would say tornado possible moving eastward between Winthrop and Manchester on the north side of Augusta if it were to hold together. But now that you look at this cell here, this is what we talked about just a few minutes ago, where over time a tornado wants to sit here, and the classic hook echo will sit back like here. And as you can see, this is a lot closer to the hook than what I drew for you earlier. So now we're looking at a more likely situation in which you could be sitting a tornado here. And again, it would be moving in this general direction, south of Manchester into the Augusta area. And any kind of ground truth we can get from you guys is really, really helpful as to whether or not there is rotation or certainly anything on the ground here. So that's it. Yeah, it's right here towards Winthrop.
There's a big light there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that storm. We're going to probably break into our on-air programming to talk about that. And again, let me just check with the National Weather Service. They have a chat product over here, and see if there's a reason they're not pulling the trigger on that as a tornado, as I would say is a fair thing to do at this point. I think it's crazy. Mom, this is going to have to wait. Sorry, I'm communicating with the National Weather Service right now via chat as to whether or not they should pull the trigger on that storm on the way to Augusta, and I'm not sure what their reasoning is on why they have not done that yet. Not to throw them under the bus but it looks pretty good to me, pretty promising to me. All right, let's just check that radar again. Yeah, I mean, that should be a tornado warning as it moves eastward here north of Manchester on the north side of Augusta. What's that? IFB. Sorry, Facebook, 1 second. I got to put in an extra device. Live TV, everybody. All right. Okay. Yeah, behind the scenes. All right. Got my little earpiece so people can. What?
What wording am I using?
Yeah, possible tornado.
In what town?
It's Winthrop on the way towards Augusta, north side of Augusta. Let me consult with the. Okay. So National Weather Service says we have tornado tagged the warning, but we don't like the low-level couplet enough for a tornado warning at this time. So they're going to hold off on a tornado warning. I have seen much worse signatures than that be tornado warned. So we'll keep an eye on the couplet. That's everything. This definitely has that hook look to it where a tornado, again, would sit on the south side of this. And not to get too in the weeds, but so people who chase tornadoes, they're always trying to be to the south of the storm for this reason, because the tornado is going to be on the south side of the cell, and you'll get your best visibility, and it's not as dangerous if you're not on the north side of it. So this is where a tornado would sit here, and it would be moving east here. And this is your hook echo that goes back up in this direction. What you're looking at is the storm precipitation shield, and the tornado sits kind of in that southern flank of the precipitation, and that's where we have our velocity couplet as well. So that combination to me says that we could have something going on here. But we'll keep an eye on this storm. We'll keep an eye on this storm and see what becomes of it. It looks like the couplet dropped back to the west a little bit here, so that would be good news. Right here, let's just pause it. Couplet back in this direction now, which is again north of Winthrop. So Winthrop's been kind of our hot spot, and it looks like it jumped a little bit north, and it's moving eastward again. So there are other storms in the state, but that's the best one, and they continued with the severe thunderstorm warning here instead of a tornado warning, so that's where we're at with that storm, and I just think it's got the possibility. Liam, are we getting anything on comments? Anybody who's out that direction?
I even asked
Yeah.
anyone was near Winthrop, and there were a couple people from like a little close by, like Monmouth. They can see the storm.
They can see the storm.
constant thunder.
Yep. You would need like a good line of sight if there's anything going on in this storm to know if it's putting anything down. So
Someone says I can see cloud spinning coming towards Augusta.
yeah, that's good. Yes, we should. Let's reset Facebook just so you know what's going on. Liam, do you want to keep this?
Yeah,
You wanna keep it?
I can switch
Okay.
right to PCR.
Okay. Yeah, Maddie. Let's
Do your thing.
let's go. We'll make it quick. I am ready when you are. Hey everyone, Keith Carson here. I want to keep you updated on a storm that has a possible rotation and perhaps a small tornado in it as it moves towards Augusta. This is only a severe thunderstorm warned right now, but this storm has the look of a possible rotation on the south side of the storm, and that would indicate the possibility of either a funnel cloud or a small tornado that sits into the storm north of Winthrop through Manchester on the way to the north side of Augusta. What happens with these systems in general, if we're not as familiar with them in the Northeast, is that if you have a tornado, it sits here in the structure of the storm, and the storm sits back this way. We call this a hook echo. It is a classic signature for the possibility of a tornado, and it just got better. Look at it right there. that is pretty much what they look like. Right here is where a tornado would sit. Let's compare that to the velocity data, which will show us whether or not we have a couplet in there. And the couplet is, let's see here, not as strong in that location, so that's good news. But again, I would tag this as the possibility of a small tornado that's moving eastward through Manchester into Augusta. If nothing else, we might have a funnel cloud that is spinning up in there. And we will take any report you can get, if you can get it to our news desk. If you can see this storm, we need a good line of sight looking on the southern flank of the system, because that's where you would get a tornado to sit in this on the south side. Again, right here-ish is typically where tornadoes sit relative to the structure of the storm. So right now it's a severe thunderstorm still, but there is the possibility of a tornado. It would be moving east and get right into the Manchester area to the north of Augusta. All of this back here, heavy precipitation as well. Let me switch products here and just see if we can get a better look at this for closer up. And you're seeing now a different look with a different radar product. I just want to get an eyeball on this storm. And again, it certainly has a lot of reflectivity. It has a little bit of that hook look when you take it on the composite here. And so we're just going to have to keep an eye on this storm and see if it is in fact producing a small tornado. The rest of the storms in the state not nearly as strong, but that storm moving eastward, I would take it seriously through Augusta. It has at least hail and straight line winds and a lot of lightning, if not a small tornado that sits on the south side of that system. We'll be back to update you as we know more. I think we can wrap it for now. We'll see if we get any reports out of that storm towards Augusta, and we'll go from there.